It is the Jesse Kelly Show, another hour of the Jesse Kelly Show on a Thursday. As we near the end of the week, I'll chop away at some emails at some point in time this hour. We're going to talk just briefly here about the climate stuff and the money that has come behind that. Dealing with mental health struggles, America's cities are in trouble. Before I get to any of that, I'm sorry, I just have to. Grandma Vodka was out there today giving a speech.
Then we also, some of us on the immigration issue had traveled to the Northern Triangle a few years ago, and what we found there is one of the reasons people were migrating to the United States is what has been mentioned, and that is they had a drought, the people couldn't farm, so they didn't have a job, and they didn't have the food that farming would produce. Hence, they were coming to the United States. So this is, again, as the Congresswoman mentioned, a migration issue, which is an economic issue. So this is, again, economic, as Congresswoman Castor said. It is not only a moral issue, but it is an affordability issue as well. Shut up.
So this climate change gobbledygook stuff, which it's not real. Remember, man is not changing the climate of the planet. Man cannot change the climate of the planet. The planet is alive itself. You realize that. Did you know that things like oil spills, everyone knows Exxon, Valdez, and all these big oil spills. And of course, the oil spills are always all over the news. And you know exactly what image you're going to see when there's an oil spill. It's going to be a helpless looking bird with oil all over it. Oh my gosh, the pelicans, the ocean, it's going to die. Did you know that the ocean cleans itself after an oil spill? Did you know that? Well, they don't tell you that, though. Why don't they tell you that? Why don't they tell you about all the wonders of the planet and the things the world is capable of doing? Why don't they tell you that oil is renewable? Did you know that? Did you think there was just some big static pool of oil underneath the ground in the ocean and on land, and once that pool's empty, it's all gone? Did you know that oil replenishes? Why don't they tell you that? Here's a headline for you. Climate scientists claim the Gulf Stream could be near collapse. Oh, man. Predicting a new ice age. Why all this fear-mongering? Why? Well, with so many things in life, or as with so many things in life, it's simply about power and money. That's all. Let's focus on the money aspect of it. There is a number I don't want to know. There are a lot of numbers like this, but there is a number I don't want to know, and here's that number. I'm sure someone will calculate it one day, and it will be devastating. How much money has been transferred from the private citizen into other people's hands in the name of climate change? You don't want to know what that number is. Neither do I. It's an unreal amount. The game is quite simple. You get the government wants money. They want your money, and really they want power, which we'll get to. How do you facilitate that? Well, you need a scary boogeyman. Every country throughout history has always needed a boogeyman you can hold up in front of the people and tell the people, you see this person, this is the enemy, this is the source of all your problems, this is this. It's always beneficial for the government to give the people a boogeyman. Well, you get up and you give the people the boogeyman of climate change. After all, no one wants to burn to death because the sun is cooking me. No one wants to live through another ice age. You can probably picture me with ice hanging off of my beard. Ooh, that sounds scary. I don't want to live through that. But how do I make the people believe that? Well, here's the game, and here's exactly how it works. I bloodsuck large quantities of money from the American taxpayer. I then hand that money out to various scientific, with the biggest air fingers quote in the world, scientific organizations and universities. and I go to a place like Harvard. Of course, everyone will respect Harvard when they say it. And I say, hey, Harvard, I got $50 million for you here. This is a grant. And you know what I need from you? I need you to do a study for me on just how harmful SUVs are to the planet. Now, you think Harvard knows what that study needs to show in the end? Harvard is well aware that they need to show that SUV is killing all of us. It's going to bring about the ice age. And then, of course, Harvard comes out, and it'll make headlines like this one in the New York Post. Although this one wasn't Harvard. This was I love this. The Institute of Oceanology of the Chinese Academic Studies of the University of California, San Diego. Wow. That's impressive. Surely that's a bunch of smart people. They're just scientists, right? No, they were all paid with your money. After they get paid with your money, the government is able to cite Harvard. Hey, look what Harvard said. It's your SUV. You know what we need? We need a big bill. Oh, we need to take a lot more of your money, and here's what we're going to do with it. We're going to smash the oil and gas industry. We're going to wreck the auto industry in this country, and we're going to take your money, and we're going to send that money over to China so we can import more solar panels. Now, will some of that solar panel money end up back in our campaign coffers? Of course it is. And is China building coal plants every 15 minutes? Of course they are, but let's let bygones be bygones, shall we? We have to save Mother Gaia, or whatever these weird godless hippie freaks decide they're going to worship today. And that's the game. Money. And, of course, power. Back to the boogeyman thing, back to the government thing. I've used this analogy, but I'll use it again. Well, I've used it from the victim standpoint. If you're a woman with your child, you're alone, you're in a boat, and the ocean is calm, and a group of rough-looking gentlemen pull up beside you in a big boat, and they say, hop in, little lady, you're going to say no. But if the waves are getting high and you're afraid you're not going to make it in your little boat, that same group of men can pull up beside of you and say, get in, and you're going to say, crap, I got to risk it. Can't die out here. I've made you afraid enough. From the perspective of the rough men, if I want that little lady to hop in my boat, I need to make her afraid. Now, all this global warming garbage probably doesn't really affect you, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy you've seen through the lies. We've talked about this enough. But you know what's insanely sad? How much it affects young communists. Over and over and over again, the polls show it. Young Democrats, young communists, they legitimately don't want to have families because of a completely invented concept that man is changing the climate. These are not victimless lies. It brings the politicians a lot of power, brings the business interests a lot of money. It, of course, helps China get a big leg up on the United States of America as our ability to produce power has gone way, way down. Theirs has gone way, way, way up. Like I said, they're building solar. They're building solar manufacturing while at the same time building coal plants. Gosh, you almost have to admire the hustle. So it's not victimless. People are getting power. People are getting money. But this is real.
Voices of Americans and how climate change is affecting their feelings. Leslie Davenport is a climate psychology therapist. She teaches at the California Institute of Integral Studies and is author of Emotional Resiliency in the Era of Climate Change. Leslie, when does healthy concern about the planet, about climate change, become this sort of climate anxiety?
Well, from the emerging field of climate psychology, one thing that's really important to understand is we view distress, upset, sadness, grief, anger about climate change to be a really reasonable, even healthy reaction.
Jewish producer Chris made a good point while she was playing that. They just made up an entire field. It's like the DEI stuff. How many universities, businesses out there have an inclusiveness director? And that's not just one person. That person has a job and they have an entire department just made up out of nowhere, out of nothing. A huge scam that hurts people. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Let's do some emails, shall we? Hey, Marie and Jesse, I've been listening to your show for a while. Enjoy your take on liberals. Is President Trump losing his MAGA base by saying things like American workers are not talented? Please let us know your thoughts. No, he's not. He's not losing his, well, it depends on how we describe this. Let's explain something. Let's talk about any political coalition, but we'll make it about Donald Trump since that was your question. Political coalitions are funny things. They're odd things, I should say. They're odd because some parts of your coalition you can't move them. They will never, ever move. Other parts of the coalition are there for a short time. You'll lose them eventually for one reason or another. It gets very confusing. So let's make it about me. We'll make this about me for a moment. In radio, I do not have an important job like Trump does. I admit that. I do a radio show. It's not important. But there are people, maybe this is you, who love the show. You've gotten to know me. You enjoy it. Maybe I make you laugh, but whatever the reason is, you love the show. Now, if tonight and tomorrow night, if for 2 straight nights, I come rolling out with bizarre takes, opinions that almost seem from the left, maybe I start cussing on the air, saying perverted things in front of your kids, I have a certain percentage of people, let's say there are 100 people listening. I know there are a lot more than that, but let's say there are 100 people listening. 10 people are so hardcore, they're going to let it go, brush it off, even if they don't love it, no big deal. I'm sure Jesse, maybe he's got a chemical imbalance. Hopefully he'll just work it out. Another 10, 20 people, they're a little uncomfortable with it. I hope he doesn't keep this up. I've already been on the fence about him. I'm not quite sure. I better knock that stuff off by Monday or I'll lose them. But then there are another, let's call it 40, 50, maybe half. Maybe this is you. You have a lot of different options. You have a lot of different shows you like. You want to hear things that you want to hear. And you don't have some kind of personal affinity for me or the show, and I better deliver for you every night, every segment, or you're going to turn it off and go listen to some bum like Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. No, I'm curious. You get what I'm saying? That's how a coalition works. And by the way, none of those people are wrong. You have your own priorities in life. Trump is president of the United States of America. Everybody who's ever been elected president has built a coalition. Except for Joe Biden, we know how he got elected. But Trump built a coalition. It takes a coalition of people. And all kinds of different people are part of the coalition that elected Donald Trump in 2024. Maybe you are a hardcore cultural conservative, as I would probably consider myself, and you were disgusted by all the endless commie filth out there. Maybe that was what drove you to the polls. Maybe you're purely an economic person. Dollars and cents, jobs, you were horrified by inflation, by what the Democrats had done with the economy, and that's why you went. Maybe you're a health freak. Look, Ob, she's not super into politics. She likes Trump. She doesn't love him. But Ob was all about it when he started enlisting guys like RFK to talk about the poison that's in the food, because you know her, she's a super health freak like that Maha, make America healthy again stuff, that took Ob from like to love real quick. Oh, she was all in. She was always going to vote for Trump. She really votes for whoever I tell her to. But she was she was all in. She practically wore a MAGA hat around town. That got her all in. Maybe you're an immigration hawk. Maybe that's your thing. That's very, very, very much me, has been for a long time. Maybe you don't even care about the Maha stuff. I mean, I really don't. I want people to be healthier, but I'm eating a Totino's pizza tonight when I get off work. I don't care about that. You tell me you're going to create the largest deportation force in history? Okay, you just tell me where to sign, brother. And there are more than that, a large coalition of people. After you get elected, though, after the promises are done and the rallies are done and all that stuff is done, after you get elected, inevitably, the coalition will shrink. Maybe it'll be shrunk by a lot. Maybe it will be shrunk by a little as different parts of the coalition get, I was going to say disenfranchised, but that's such a college word, disappointed. Hey, he didn't do enough Maha stuff. He didn't deport enough people. He didn't do enough for that. Inevitably, the coalition is going to shrink. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. I don't think that Trump's hardcore fans, and maybe this is you, are out on him because of one bad interview with Laura Ingraham and a couple lines that I'm sure, if he's being honest, he wishes he could take back. No, we don't have the talent. Yeah, go ahead, Chris, if you have, yeah.
H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have.
I'm sure if he had an honest moment with you, he would tell you, probably wouldn't have answered it that way. Did that shave some people off of the MAGA coalition? I'm sure. Is it drastic, the end of the world? No. Get the economy turned around, continue to deport millions of people, it'll all be forgotten. It's one interview. Shrunk it, didn't destroy it. All right? It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Thursday, reminding you that tomorrow's Ask Dr. Jesse Friday, and you need to get your questions emailed in right now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Chris, where's this silo? Just a heads up, Jewish producer Chris was doing some important research for the show during the break. He found another Cold War missile silo underground bunker for sale. You know how badly. Remember when we found those ones in Kansas, Chris? They were like $600,000. So we were a little short on the money. But I want a World War II silo, or a Cold War silo so bad. What, Chris? Where? It's in North Dakota, almost in Canada. Why did you say it like that? What's wrong with North Dakota? You'll have to wear a coat, Chris. I promise it'll be fine. We'll be warm in the, well, wait a minute. You're not coming. I'll be warm in the underground bunker. You can, what? Is this where I'm going to have my secret club? I can't tell you that. But yes. Jesse, I was not that interested in politics until I found your show a few years ago. I'm so much more informed, love your spin on things. I've been doing some serious praying about running for my local school board. One thing holding me back is my thin skin. I take everything to heart, and I worry too much about what people think of me. I've heard it can be truly vicious on a personal level, and that scares me. Can you give me advice, since you literally, she says, don't seem to care if people like you or hate you? She asked that I don't use her name, and I won't, of course. All right. So this is something that people struggle with for obvious reasons. I understand that I'm a bit more of a natural jerk. Don't roll your eyes, Chris, and definitely don't agree. I don't care really what people think or say to me. And that does help me in ways. It does hurt me in ways as well. I have no doubt about that. It does. But most people are not that way. Dudes are more likely to be that way. For women, that's a hard struggle. That's a hard slog. I actually told you about Ab in her women's group. Was it yesterday? Where the lady started bad-mouthing Charlie Kirk. And the lady was black and started saying, well, he said a bunch of terrible racist things about people like me, which is just flat out wrong. And I thought to myself, should I tell Ab, confront her? And so Ab and I, we discussed it. And she just didn't want to make it uncomfortable. She didn't want to ruin the group. She didn't want to make it uncomfortable. That's more her way. Me, I probably would have asked some probing questions that led to a very uncomfortable conversation. Now, I can't change the way you are, and there's nothing wrong with the way you are. But I think it's important for all people, men, women, all people, to make a distinction. This is what's so important. You cannot walk around worried about what everyone thinks about you. You can only worry what people you respect think about you. People you care about. People in your life you respect and care about. Their opinion of you probably should matter to you on some level. If the person who has loved you, your husband, your wife, your mom, a sister, comes to you and says, hey, I think you're really screwing this up, whatever this may be, something in your personal life, business life, and I think maybe you should work on it. Well, that's something you probably should take to heart. Okay, examine yourself, pray about it. Maybe I should, but not your enemies. So if I can maybe help, maybe this won't help, but let me explain. There is good and evil in the world. There is good and evil. We have to start there and acknowledge that. There are wonderful, godly forces, and there are evil, demonic forces at work in this world. There are. We have to figure out what we're dealing with, and we have to make sure we don't concern ourselves with the opinions of the demonic forces. In fact, if we can just get to the basics of good and evil, we should actually seek out the disapproval of demonic forces. People think I don't care what people say and think about me. Again, to some extent, that is true. It's actually worse or better than that, depending on how you look at it. I want communists to hate me. I love it because I know how sick and demonic these people are. I know the forces that drive them are the forces of evil. And so when we get all these horrible emails and people telling me I'm the spawn of Satan and all this other stuff, I hope you die. It not only doesn't bother me, I love it. I love it because I find it to be reassuring that I'm on the right side of things. As I've told you before, when I finally die, whether it's tonight or 50 years from now, when I finally kick off and all the communists go online and say the worst things, and they put up a bunch of TikTok videos celebrating, he's finally dead, he's burning in hell, whatever. Do not fret. Do not be down. Do not be angry. I'm telling you right now, this is me telling you right now, that's what I want. I want them to be thrilled that I'm dead and gone. Don't argue with them. Sit back when you see it and smile. Chris just said he'll spread my ashes over their party. Yes, that's perfect. Chris, I'll set aside some money. We all know you're not going to pay for it. I'll get one of those crop duster planes for you, and you just drop it right on top of them and smile, just knowing that that's what I want. So that's the kind of mentality that may be hard for you. But if you can divide society like that, good and evil, then it makes the disapproval of evil so much easier to take. If that woman because by the way, politics is vicious, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you. Running for local politics can, in a lot of ways, be worse than running for some national thing. When I was running for Congress, Yeah, and look, it's hard for a mother to turn on the television set and see a commercial with my face on it of my Democrat opponent calling me the Antichrist. That wasn't fun, but it's not that personal either, is it? At least I didn't personalize it. Mom may not have loved it, but it's not a big deal. I didn't care. It's different when you're running for city council, when you're running for school board, and you're seeing your opponent at the carpool line. It's different when one of their hardcore supporters stops you when you're picking up burger in the grocery store and tells you you're a worthless piece of crap. Now you're uncomfortable. Now you're nervous. Now you're looking around. It's different. You have to go into it with the mentality that you are taking on evil, because that's what we actually are doing. We want what's best for our communities, for our states, and for our country. And we understand that there are evil forces attacking our communities and our states and our country. And those evil forces are not going to welcome us with open arms when we try to take their power away. They're going to react viciously, absolutely viciously. Remember when I got that dirty commie freak fired from being the grand marshal of a parade here in Texas? Got that dirty commie freak fired. The email inbox had death threats pouring in. We're going to come kill you, this and that. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Why? We got rid of evil, and evil didn't like it. Learn to accept it. All right, let's talk about this Japanese PM. This lady is a piece of work. We'll talk a little bit more about Americans and their mental health struggles. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Thursday. Let's dig back into things before we get back into this story about the Japanese PM or the emails. I haven't figured out the angle right now of Michelle Obama. And the angle I'm talking about is this. You can see PR campaigns once you've learned to notice them. They're not hard to notice. And there's generally an understandable reason behind them. So when someone out of the blue, there's a bunch of video on them. You see them on social media. Wait, he's on this show this day and that show that day. Okay, that guy's probably running for office. That guy has a new movie coming out. That guy has a book. He just wrote a book, and now he wants to advertise the book. So he's on a campaign. I'm going to do 10 different podcasts. I'm going to do that. I haven't figured out totally what's behind this recent Michelle Obama campaign. I can make a guess. My guess would be she craves the limelight. She misses it. That's my guess. She very clearly loved being First Lady. She loved all the fame that came with it. She has loved all the money that came after it. And once you're done, it's like show business, right? Once you're done, everyone forgets about you in 5 minutes. They just do. No matter what industry you're in, if you're in a public industry, you can convince yourself all you want that people will remember me forever, but they won't. People forget. They move on. They find the next thing. That's the way it goes. It'll be that way when I retire one day. No, you'll forget. You move on. You move on to the next guy, and that's fine. Totally fine. I get the feeling Michelle Obama has a hard time moving on and being without it, just being a mom, just being a wife. The problem for Michelle Obama is she was always a pretty detestable human being. She always was, full of bitterness and hate, nothing but malice for her country. You remember when Barack Obama was running for office, and she said repeatedly that this was the first time she's ever been proud of her country. And she got all kinds of heat for it. She didn't even realize what she said the first time she said it. She was just being honest. I've always hated this stupid place. Now that Barack might be president, I guess it's not that bad. It's just a nasty race communist hag. The problem for her is that hasn't changed. She just has continued to walk down that path of bitterness. And everything has to be a grievance. Everything has to be some sort of offense. some sort of someone has been treading on me. Just this stuff is so exhausting.
And we have to start educating people about all kinds of beauty.
Yes.
And our beauty is so powerful and so unique that it is worthy of the conversation, and it's worthy of demanding the respect that we're owed for who we are and what we offer to the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She's talking about Black female beauty. What? Why do you have to make demands? Why do you have to have a conversation? Is there some way of thinking out there that Black women aren't beautiful? I've never encountered this thinking at all. Some people love Black women. Some people don't. I realize that. Some people like white women, Asian women, Latino women. I get that you may not be everyone's flavor, but that's not a stereotype that exists. But that doesn't matter, you see, because everything has to be some sort of grievance, some sort of offense. So just mortified by this and mortified by that. And I've been oppressed. And this is really, really ugly when it comes to the race communists. Oprah has done this her entire career. Oprah is a billionaire. Oprah is world famous. And to this day, Oprah will make public statements on occasion that make her sound like a victim of some kind, that make her sound like she's been oppressed in some way. LeBron James has done this. LeBron James created a hate crime, a hate hoax for himself. Said there was racist spray paint on his garage door or something like that. By the time the cops showed up, they're like, "Oh, well, someone painted over it already, so it's gone." What is this? I don't know. It's awful. It's unhealthy for everybody. It's certainly unhealthy for the country, but it doesn't matter. Wealth, fame, power does not matter. It's endless, this grievance politics. Jesse, listening to him tonight, and I totally disagree that Republicans will lose the House. He's talking about me listening to him, but it got to me. I totally disagree that Republicans will lose the House in 2026. If people are dumb enough to vote for Democrats after the previous administration, knowing what they want for the country, then the country is done anyway. I'm not saying that we should just sit back and accept that we're going to lose the House in 2026. I'm going off of a couple things that have us swimming against the ocean. Those couple things are, one, we don't have the same level of motivation the communists do because the communists feel like they're out of power. When Joe Biden had the White House for 4 years and they were tearing the country you love apart, you didn't need me to sit here and motivate you to call a friend and go vote. I didn't have to say that to you. I know I did. That's just because it's my thing, but I didn't ever have to tell you that. You were going to vote anyway. You were coming for it. I didn't have to tell you that. You were out of power. You were watching the things you want destroyed. You were watching the things you hate succeed, and you marched to the polls. That's why the president, the sitting president, whatever party he's in, generally loses power in the House in the midterms. The House of Representatives is up for re-election every 2 years. The midterm elections are the first opportunity the country has to go out and vote for or against the current president. And the current president, no matter who he is, no matter what he's done, has not and frankly cannot solve all of the problems that the country has encountered in 2 years. So the people, the normies, not you, but the normies, hey, all my problems aren't fixed. I voted to make everything better. Everything is not better. So maybe the normies sit at home. The communists will crawl through broken glass to vote. Maybe we're more complacent. Maybe the coalition has shrunk a little. I wasn't saying that to be disheartening at all. It was just more of kind of a historical trend. All right, we'll talk about this Japanese PM and mental health struggles, finding some other things next hour.